The NBA draft is less than a week away, and on today's show, we're breaking down 10 Celtics draft targets at number 35 overall. I am Will Scott. You're watching Celtics Today. The Celtics have the 35th overall pick in the NBA draft. That is their only pick, at least for now, in next week's draft. We'll tell you 10 guys that they might look to target with that selection. Who do you want the Celtics to draft? Let me know down in the comments section. You might say one of the 10 names we're going to talk about on today's show. That's the pinned comment, so be sure to reply to it when you get a second. Let's talk about Jaime Jaquez, the star UCLA forward who won a lot of games in his tenure with the Bruins, had a phenomenal season this past year. Taking a look at the numbers, 17.8 points per game, 8.2 rebounds per game. Good defensive player as well, which is what impresses me about him. He can get it done on both ends. 1.5 steals per game, shot over 48% from the floor. Jaquez is just a winner, man. I remember watching him a few years back when UCLA made that Final Four run, and then they won a lot of games his next two seasons as well, made the Sweet 16 this past year. This guy helped turn around that UCLA program that was not relevant for a long time, and then they won a lot of games during his tenure. So I like Jaquez, man. He's a guy that could be really a steal at number 35 overall if he's on the board there. Most mock drafts I'm seeing have him going before the Celtics selection. So we get into our next draft target here. That is James Nnaji, the center from Barcelona, plays for Barca in Barcelona. He's from Nigeria originally. Don't know a whole lot about this guy, so I looked at Bleacher Report's scouting report. Here is what they said. The Nigerian big is extremely young and will still be 18 years old on the night of the upcoming draft and is one of the youngest prospects in this class. Naji has the ability to play the forward or center spot with his unique physical tools. There's no question his body is ready for the NBA today. A rising star in the EuroLeague, Naji does have great tools, but his skills, they need a lot of refinement. He's not effective outside of the paint on the offensive end, which could limit him at the next level. At this point, he's not all of a deep threat, nor is he a good free throw shooter. Naji's a project. That's what it comes down to. But you know what? A project is fine in the second round. I'm probably not okay with them in the first round, but I think early in the second round, I'm okay with taking a guy like Naji, especially when you need big man depth. The Celtics desperately need a center. Maybe they go free agency route, trade route, or draft route. If they go draft route, Naji might be the guy at number 35. I would not be surprised. Let's get into our next target here. That is Marcus Sasser, the guard from the University of Houston. This guy is a lot of fun to watch. Looking at the numbers here, from his time with the Cougs this past year, 16.8 points per game, 1.6 steals per game, shot nearly 44%. Pretty good three-point shooter at 38.4%. Who's your favorite NBA draft prospect? Let me know down in the comments section. Doesn't have to be someone we're talking about today. Doesn't have to be someone that could be available at pick number 35. Who is your favorite prospect in this year's class? Julian Strawther next up on our list here, the guard from Gonzaga. Got to watch most of this guy's games in March Madness. Taking a look at the numbers here. 15.2 points per game, 6.2 rebounds per game, shot over 40% from three. This guy was lights out from three-point range, especially down the stretch for the Zags. Shot nearly 47% from the field. We're going to have you covered leading up to draft night, so be sure to subscribe for more Celtics news and rumors. Got you covered all offseason. During the draft, we're going to have you covered. During free agency, we're going to have you covered. So be sure to hit that subscribe button below, as we're going to continue to have you covered with all Celtics news and rumors. Noah Clowney next up on our list here, the forward from Alabama. I'm very intrigued to see where this guy is going to go. Taking a look at the numbers here with his time at Bama, 9.8 points per game, 7.9 rebounds per game. Pretty good defensively, nearly a block per game. But I really like Clowney as a prospect. Think he could have a lot of value here in the second round. So we get into our remaining prospects, beginning with Andre Jackson Jr., the guard from UConn, was a huge part of that UConn national championship team. And I think he's one of the best defenders in this entire class. when you look at the numbers offensively, it doesn't really stand out, but you're drafting a guy like Jackson for his defense, and I'm totally fine with that in the second round, especially. And the Celtics need to get better defensively. You heard Malcolm Brogdon say that's a big reason they didn't advance is because their defense was not as good as last year. So I think if the Celtics can get a guy like Jackson, he can be a role player off the bench, can be good defensively, that could be a really good pick here for the Boston Celtics. Emoni Bates is next up on our list here, the forward from Eastern Michigan. The former number 1 overall high school player in the country, then reclassified, ended up at Eastern Michigan. This is what he did in his sophomore year, 19.2 points per game, 5.8 rebounds per game, okay three-point shooter at 33%, and then 40.5% from the field. Pretty good numbers from his time at Eastern Michigan. This guy could be an absolute steal. Let me repeat, this guy used to be the number 1 high school player in the country in his class. Reclassified, maybe that wasn't the best decision for him. He ends up at Eastern Michigan. But at number 35 overall, he got a chance to get a guy that was formerly number 1 high school player in the country. That could be an absolute steal. Isaiah Wong could be a steal as well. He's next up on our list here as a potential draft target. Led Miami to the Final Four in his final season with the Canes, was one of the best players in Miami Hurricanes basketball history, men's or women's. 16.2 points per game this past season, 3.2 assists per game, 44.5% from the floor, 38.4% from three-point range. Wong is a lot of fun to watch. I had a blast watching this guy during that March Madness run, and I think, you talk about value, could have a lot of value as a potential guy you can bring off the bench, three-point shooter. Could be really good value in terms of a pick at number 35 overall. Next up on our list is Tristan Vukcevic, the center from Serbia. Yes, center from Serbia. Much like Nikola Jokic. I'm just saying, just like the Joker, who is best player in the league right now. Taking a look at his scouting report from Sports Illustrated. With his size, he can also space the floor vertically as a lob threat, especially in transition. Outside of being a shooter, it's very promising to see him score in a variety of ways as he matures. He has a solid bag of moves in the mid-range and loves to exploit smaller defenders. So Tristan Vukcevic may be a name to watch here. Kind of, a mystery prospect, if you will. Don't know a whole lot about him. But that is going to be interesting to watch if the Celtics target him. They might also target Jordan Walsh, the small forward from Arkansas. Like him as a prospect. Got to watch some of him at Arkansas. He is our 10th and final draft target that we're talking about here on today's show. What position do you want the Celtics to draft? Do you want them to go guard, forward, center? Let me know down in the comments section. The interesting thing about the NBA draft, it comes before free agency. NFL is the exact opposite, so you can fill some needs right away here during the draft next week. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. We're going to continue to have you covered on all things Celtics.